According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, children with disabilities are 38% more likely to be obese than their counterparts. 86% of teens with Down syndrome and 67% of teens with autism were either overweight or obese. 13% of U.S. families have a child with a disability. The issue of mental and physical disabilities are not disappearing, and based on statistics, they are becoming a bigger problem than ever before. The CDC reports the likelihood of a school-aged American child receiving a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, autism, or a related developmental disorder rose more than 70% between 2007 and 2012.
Hi, I'm Spencer Yankel, and our group is researching physical activities of special needs children. Through our research, we have found that physical and mental disabilities among children are very complex and multi-layered subject matter. It is very tough for families with children who suffer from these disorders to support the everyday needs of the child affected. Parents of these children are often faced with many difficulties managing time and money. With a lack of the support by most schools, parents who want the best possible life for their children are forced to carry out this hopeful dream on their own. However, a person cannot be in two places at one time, and raising any child requires financial support in the form of a stable income of a job, and according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, it will take roughly $240,000 to raise a child from birth to age 18. For a special needs child, those expenses can quadruple. As this paradox persists, these parents who have the least amount of available time need the most.
This arises the question that is often neglected in society today, and that is, what are the consequences of the lack of support by school today in helping these parents struggling to just maintain a healthy lifestyle for their children with special needs? This question is what we have decided as a group to focus on in our research in order to help spread awareness of the issue. The CDC reports the likelihood of a school-age American child receiving a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, autism, or relative development disorder rose more than 70% between 2007 and 2012. With the numbers of these disorders rising, the numbers of special needs children facing health problems like obesity continue to increase also. In an interview conducted with Helen Carey, a pediatric physical therapist, stated that preschools and elementary age children have more physical activity opportunities at school. However, this becomes more challenging as they become teenagers. When there is no base for programs or classes that promote the physical activity of special needs children provided by schools, the effects of obesity begin to succumb to the snowball effect. Whereas the child begins to become more overweight, it becomes increasingly more difficult to reverse this process of gaining more and more weight. This lack of attention to the physical activity of these children and teenagers sets the stage for a lifetime of health issues that can cause more pain and even a premature death.
There is a multitude of barriers keeping children with special needs from receiving the proper physical activity from their schools. Physical fitness for youth with Down syndrome is much more challenging for many reasons. The cardiovascular barriers are a major part. They have low aerobic capacity and a quicker time to exhaustion. They also have a low peak heart rate. Autonomic dysfunction is a primary factor related to low fitness abilities. They have lower strength compared to individuals without disabilities as well. Youth with this Down syndrome in North America and Europe are more obese and overweight versus their counterparts without disabilities. The cause of a high rate of obesity is a multifactorial process. The use of youth intervention programs at the preschool level through high school have positively affected the lives of children. Having disabled students participate in an education program forces the child to interact with other students who oftentimes are in their everyday class. Putting the child in an unfamiliar environment causes either panic or excitement, depending on the person and level of disability. Either reaction is positive, for it causes them to branch out and experience new settings.
There are many great possibilities in the near future in the area of special needs development. Most children with common learning disabilities, such as dyslexia, attend their local public school. There they get additional services like special instruction either in the classroom or in a separate room. Or they might get a special accommodation, such as extra time on a test, but for some parents, the discovery of their children's learning issue triggers a much broader journey. In addition to advocating for the best possible service from the school their child attends, they might carry out an exhaustive school search, switch between schools within a district, or commute to another district, or even more to a different state. This process is straining on a family and can lead to problems for their child and not solutions. Special needs schools specialize in teaching students with learning, behavior, mental, health, medical, or intellectual disabilities. In most cases, one school will specialize in one type of disability. It is rare to find schools that are a catch-all for every disability. The programs, which can be day schools or residential, are designed to handle the needs of the particular population they are serving. The staff has additional training in supporting the students in and out of the classroom. A school for children with dyslexia, for instance, may have an entire teaching staff trained in a research-based reading intervention. and that kind of teaching will carry over into every aspect of the curriculum. A school for children with autism may include applied behavior analysis, sensory integration therapy, social skills training, and a host of other interventions. Special education schools come in all shapes and sizes and have a variety of approaches to teaching. Some may be housed in a basement of a public school, others may have a pristine campus of their own.
Physical activity programs will help benefit the overall well-being of children. According to the authors of Promoting the Participation of Children with Disabilities in Sports, Recreation, and Physical Activities, the benefits of physical activity are universal for all children, including those with disabilities. Participation of children with disabilities in sports and recreational activities promotes inclusion, minimizes deconditioning, optimizes physical functioning, and enhances overall well-being. With physical activity, disabled kids have an increased level of fitness, which ultimately helps lower the risk of diabetes and obesity. The ultimate goal of physical activity programs is to include disabled students with their appropriate needs. As stated by MD Murphy and MD Carbone, participation in physical activities is the context in which people form friendships, develop skills and competencies, express creativity, achieve mental and physical health, and determine meaning and purpose in life. Special needs students need to incorporate physical activity in their everyday life in order to grow in all aspects. Increasing physical activity in children with disabilities helps increase conditioning, mobility, and optimize physical functioning.
After conducting an interview with Allison Blakely, a modified PE teacher here at Olentangy Liberty, we learned that teachers help incorporate special needs students through activities such as being on athletic teams, having a modified PE class, going on community trips with the use of other functional skills, all to help the students be as independent as they can be. Physical activity helps the overall well-being of an individual. Maturing, learning to be independent, increased level of health are all attributes of becoming a well-rounded person. Special needs children as a whole need to be further incorporated in physical activity. However, a small percentage of schools are making a difference by funding special needs intervention programs. The issue of physical activity of special needs children is a growing problem. Our goal as a group was to help promote awareness of this issue. By doing so, we reached out to Missy Sidek of the Kinetics organization. By doing so, we offered to volunteer at one of her programs. The Kinetics organization allows special needs children to work alongside a volunteer for 60 minutes in a fun and safe environment. This not only promotes a healthy lifestyle for these children, but is also a very enjoyable experience for everyone else involved. After reaching out to Missy Sidek, me and my group volunteered at a sessions at Buckeye Gymnastics, where each member was assigned a child. The child I worked with was John. John suffered from a multitude of disorders, including Down syndrome and autism. Working with John was a very enjoyable experience. A few of the activities we did with John included various obstacle courses, jumping on the trampoline, swinging on the bars. It was very enjoyable watching John have a good time there and at the same time getting a good workout. His favorite activity was jumping on the trampoline, where we spent most of our time doing seat drops and star jumps. It was a really rewarding experience seeing the parents being involved.
The child I was held responsible for, his name was Jackson. He was about 7 years old and he suffered from Down syndrome. His favorite activity was jumping on the trampoline and doing star jumps. At first he felt kind of uncomfortable working with me, but then we had a physical therapist join in and he showed me a few things that I could do to help calm Jackson, like counting 1 through 10, using other various techniques to get him involved. In order for Jackson to be fully involved with the physical activity, we had to provide incentives, whether that being clapping for him or giving him a high five. Not only did Jackson need incentives, but his mom was involved more often. She kind of walked me through what we could do to help him get up and jump on the trampoline or go in the foam pit. This being my first time working with the Kinetics organization, I was truly proud to be a part of the process and see Jackson get the physical activity he needs.
Assigned a child. My child, Cameron, a 7-year-old girl who was diagnosed with autism. Cameron, being the least labor-intensive of the three, was very easy to work with. After going through a variety of different circuits and physical activities, we ended in a group activity on the trampolines. This program is very beneficial for Cameron and children alike because it promotes physical activity in a safe environment and is also beneficial for the parents because they get to see their child in a group activity. Cameron's favorite activities included star jumps, jumping on the trampoline, playing in the cheese pit, along with hanging on the bars and doing various relay races. Cameron was very easy to work with, and compared to the other children there, was probably at the top level of the activity she was doing. Her parents were very grateful of what the volunteers were helping out with, and overall this experience was very unique and enjoyable. These are some pictures that were taken from our day volunteering with the Kidnetics organization. As you can see, the kids had a lot of fun, and we were very involved and hands-on in what we were doing. It is very important to spread awareness of this topic so that schools and other organizations such as Kidnetics can continue to improve and further help children with disabilities obtain adequate physical activity.